Hello, and welcome to the no particular time of day edition of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. And now here's your courageous and trailblazing host, the Voice of Doom. All right, well, I think we're going to have to put your job on ZipRecruiter there, Mr. Announcer, because it's getting a bit dumb. Um, Changed up my look again, just for the heck of it. I like different looks and certainly not a conformist. Hate trends, despise them. But I'm going to go on with the saga. Gets a little bit convoluted now. Now that we're coming out of it a little bit and we're all going back to work because the stipends stopped. I waited to the last minute, I'll admit it. I waited till all the $600 was gone before going back to work because, and yeah, okay, fiscal conservative, and yeah, right. Yeah, you're a hypocrite. No, not really, because when you consider how much money the government's wasted, I think anybody should try to get whatever they can within legal means. I don't like the fraud, but yeah, if I can get money from the government, I'll take it. You waste enough. But 2020 goes on, and very much not much to talk about between August, September, October, as far as the big picture. I mean, we're all wearing masks, and we all have to be kind of policing each other in the casino because the health department will come through and say, if you don't tell people to put on their masks, then we're going to close you down. So the health department seemed to have some power that, like, we can arbitrarily close anyone down we want to. And things got confusing about what was open and what wasn't open and what could be open and isn't open. And like, well, is this fast food place open or is it just a drive-through? And does it have to not be open? Or it's like, well, we don't have employees now because nobody's working. So, I don't want to, madness. That's just the fallout. The initial fallout. A real effect from the cause is coming. And I'm sorry. We haven't even begun to suffer for what we did between March and July. Not even begun. Hasn't even started because they can print money and give it away. And as long as they're able to do that, then everything should be fine. But August is more kind of personal. And for one thing, I was back still when the stipends were coming through. Stimulus. Got stimuluses, and then I got the supplement, and the money was. So I kind of found myself in a weird position of actually having money, tucked aside besides what I pay for the bills. And it's like, wow, that's weird. Never happened before. It's always like I have about $5 in the bank account, wait for the money to go in, pay, the usual, paycheck to paycheck. So it's August, and I'm going, I got all this extra money, I'm going to do something. My wife had said, are you going to do anything with this transgender thing? She said a year, whenever. I'm like, well, if I don't do anything by 65, I ain't doing it. And by doing it, I didn't even know what I meant by doing it. Project a different image, to whatever extent. Point being is I went to counseling. I decided to pay for a real psychologist to talk. And it was helpful to just finally talk openly about stuff and in the months that have passed, I found out that people are very accepting, way more than I thought they were. When I was a petrified kid thinking that I was going to kill myself, and now they accept me more than I accept myself, because now they don't expect me to come up dressed whatever, but it's like, okay, you're transgender, but it's like, you don't really, they accept me more than I accept myself, and I'll explain more about that later, because there's a good reason for that. August 16th, my wife called in sick, and she never calls in sick, ever. which means that she's sick. And she remains sick. And August through September, a month, let's just say, you know, she was getting worse every day, but thinking that everything was getting better and that we just take this and just do that concoction. And she's making ginger juice, and I'm trying to find ginger, and she's saying, well, I just got, I had a cup of coffee and that just made my arm swell, like it's swelling and not swelling. And it started slow, and then by the time it's really like she can't go to work, then it's like she can't move her arm. It's a right arm, which is what she uses. So I know things are kind of not good, and I'm thinking basically we blew it the first time. Go back with our tail between our legs, like, oh, we shouldn't have stopped it early. And it wasn't even the cancer that I was thinking about. I'm just thinking about the arm at the time. So steadily, life is in the doldrums again, back to being poor. I mean, making money, but having to struggle for it, and I'm kind of under pressure with the job as time goes on. And by September 20th, I started writing a journal because I realized that, seems like it's heading a certain way. And I wanted to kind of jot down my thoughts because I thought, if I can keep a journal, then maybe it'll be helpful. But I can kind of go through the preliminaries and then by the time I'm done, we can start with the election and the mysteries of everything. And I mean, just one thing at a time. That's why I'm going to do this book and do these tapes or videos, because I can make it easy on a lot of people, because I think I can help, and it's not that hard. I had to just learn everything as I went, because it's like she's in bed, but she's getting up and doing stuff for herself, and she's making her concoctions, and she's watching TV, and she's always writing in her folders, and it's always about money. She's got columns and columns of expenses and assets and stuff, and it's like, I mean, it gets into September, then she's not working, and that's kind of a big, puts a big crimp on the budget, that's for damn sure. And she, got a lot of credit cards, kind of behind my back in a way. We had a little understanding about the bills, and I was going to pay the mortgage and my car payment and the insurance, and she was going to pay all the utilities and whatever we paid our own credit cards. I never liked mutual bank accounts or joint, never. Just too independent for that, and then you get into, hey, he's taking his money out. It's like $5, and it's like, well, you took out $300 to buy, and it's like, no, separate. I don't care. It may be wrong, but separate. It's good. Good advice for you guys right there. So she probably had 5 or 6 credit cards and a couple lines of credit here and there, and I'm like, after I have to take all the bills on, it's like I'm telling the kids, it's like, I mean, they have to chip in more because it's not good. So things get progressively worse in that way because I'm getting more bills and she's getting sicker. And then it goes from not doing anything for herself and not very rarely coming out to watch TV and mostly laying on her mattress and wanting pillows, and I'm bringing her stuff all the time, and I'm bringing her ice, and I'm bringing her water, and I'm bringing her concoctions and remedies, and I'm bringing her fruits, and I'm bringing her, well, let's just say I was doing pretty much everything. The kids were helping, but she couldn't do anything. I mean, she could get up and go to the restroom, and then I was pretty much bringing her everything, and she was still lucid enough to be kind of a pain in the butt, as she usually is. And I said some bad things, and she said a lot of bad things many times because she's slowly realizing that she blew it. It's dawning on her that she waited too long to get help. So then it was like, well, we got to call the doctor and get something going. And Dr. Schallenberger's a famous guy. He's on you see him on the thing. And his office is a couple blocks away from us pretty much. And I got a thing with him, and they say November 15th or something. It's September, it's way down the line. It's like, I'm like, no, no. Can't be November because she's, getting kind of bad and she needs to be diagnosed before we can move forward. Everything is a blockade. That's the medical industrial complex, and I'm going to tell you about that. The personal thing is way more interesting than the COVID because we're just wearing masks and I'm hating my job, same old chaotic restaurant, and slowly the pressure's building that I got to be at her beck and call 24/7. And I'll go into detail about how you take care of someone who doesn't want to admit they're dying. It's not easy. But for now, I'll say that I said we need a closer appointment, and she's like, okay. And they move it up to like a week, 4 or 5 days away. So I'm really happy. I'm thinking, yeah, I can actually do things. And I was proud that of myself, that I did something. Taking care of business. Finally, we're going to go to the doctor, and getting into the car was difficult. Getting out of the car was difficult. And sitting in the chair, just giving information, the preliminary information that they take down, was difficult. But I had gone there earlier before. I decided I'm going to drive down there before this appointment and talk to him. And I said, we kind of know it's bad, so just don't beat around the bush, And so I knew that it would finally come a time when somebody in charge with the blue coat on would say, you got this and you better blah. So, get her to the doctor, and she can't even sit through the preliminary thing because she kind of starts bleeding a little bit, and because she's got an open kind of thing, and then she's got the swollen arm. So she said, the nurse said, take her to the hospital right now. And I'm like, okay. Now, if we had had insurance, or if we were really, really poor, they would probably have kept her there because it's like, here's a cash cow. But we were in that position where we weren't insured and we hadn't made any Obama plans, and kind of hoping that everything would turn out all right with the homeopathics, and not quite poor enough, but yeah, we turned out to be poor. But in the beginning, it's like, we went to the hospital, and it was weird because it's been so tense for like 2 months, and like when I took her, they admitted her for examination, and they said, well, you can't come in because of COVID. And I'm kind of like relieved, believe it or not. I know it sounds horrible, but it's like, God, I just want to get home, get out, and get away from this for a second. And I went home, and the kids and I kind of cleaned up the house and kind of relaxed and kind of enjoyed ourselves because the immediate crisis was taken away from us for a minute. And I'm like, well, I got a counseling appointment, and I don't know what's going on with your mom. And I'm like, well, they're going to keep her in there for a while. She's in bad shape. They're going to keep her there. Calls 3 hours later, I'm ready. you can come pick me up in 2 hours and I'll be ready. And I'm like, what? That was not a good sign because it's like, I know you're really, really bad. So to say I'm coming home, it means, we're not keeping her in the hospital. We're not going to drain you. And so I went to my counseling and got lost along the way. I was kind of losing my mind. My mind was slowly going because I didn't have any short-term memory because I was doing everything. It's not just the food and the water and the ice and the remedies, it's the paperwork and it's the MI, you know, the military, the medical industrial complex, and it's the, uh, what else, everything. I mean, Dieter, I mean, we're getting, trying to get uh, disability. She never came, but it's going too long. It's 16 minutes. I'm going to leave halfway, kind of cut it, and maybe start again. So that's it for this episode. It's getting a little more, I won't say exciting, dramatic. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.